Hello, my beautiful friends. Today we're going to talk about laying out your homestead in zones and why that's important. Let's go. I'm Becky. I used to live in the consumer rat race just like you. But one day I had enough, so I sold it all, moved to the country, and built my own log cabin with my own two hands. Now, I spend my time discovering new ways to live a simple, healthy lifestyle with more free time and way less stress. Then, sharing what I've learned with you. Welcome to Becky's Homestead. Laying out your homestead in zones is going to be very convenient, efficient, and you're just going to enjoy your homestead more. The reason this is important is because you want to enjoy your homestead and be relaxed and refreshed. You don't want to be overwhelmed by it. I want to make the point that you want to lay out your homestead in a way, in zones, so you can develop each zone. And the reason is you want your homestead to be sustainable. You don't want to create a dumpstead, which is just quickly get everything on there, like everything you think you'd need forever, and then it's just there, and now you're so overwhelmed, everything's a mess, it just starts getting stinky, run down, messy. That's not the direction you want to go in. You want to take your time, plan it out, lay your homestead out in zones, which is so awesome. So I'm going to start with zone 1 and how I like to lay out zone 1. I love zone 1. Zone 1 is right around your house, and it's going to include, so many feet out depending on how big your property is. That's how big you can make your zones. But in zone 1 is going to be like your courtyard, your patio, your deck, your porch, your walkways. Walkways are so important, and the reason being is you come in and out of your homestead a million times because you're busy. You're always doing stuff. So you want to make sure your entranceway, is big enough. Your walkways are great. You can stomp off your feet out there before you come in and all that stuff. And I like to have in zone 1 too, something visually pleasurable. So flowers, flowering bushes, just something really pleasing. So when you're like approaching the house, you're just like, oh yeah, my little house. When you pull up in the driveway, it just is very pleasing. You don't want it to be just a mess with junk piled all around it, and you pull up and you're just like, whoo, you don't even look. You just want to get in the house. That's not what you want to do. So try to focus on keeping things neat, tidy, efficient, and very pleasing to the eye. Also in zone 1, on the edge of zone 1, I like to put my chicken coop and my garden, little gardening stuff. I love that right nearby. You can just, not too close. You always have to have room between, but I like to keep it so it's right there. You can see it out the window. You can just run out there and grab eggs, feed, pick stuff from the garden when you're cooking. Super convenient. It's right there. I want to make this point though. In every zone I build, there is like a track or a little road or whatever you want to call it, big enough, plenty big enough for a truck to drive around. So you want to be able to have a truck drive around your house in case you need repairs, things delivered, or whatever the case may be. The same with the perimeter. The very edge of your property, which is the perimeter of zone 3. Same thing. It's where you're going to have your fence. You just need to be able to drive a truck around there. And what makes that very enjoyable is, I'm skipping ahead to the perimeter of zone 3, but anyway, this is very important. You have to have that truck space around the edge of zone 3 as well. And what's nice about that, you can turn that into a walking track. If you have a little mini bike or, a little quad you like to play with, that's nice. You can ride that around, have a little fun, enjoyment on your homestead. And for me personally, I also have a track going straight down the middle. So you can, go straight down the middle, all the way around the edge and all the way around the house. So don't forget that. It's very important to do. You don't want everything just squeezed in so tight. You can't make repairs easy and you can't get around easy. All right, so on the edge of zone 1, that's what I like, my chicken coop and my garden. Kind of a smaller garden. And then we're gonna go next into the edge of zone 2. I like to put my barn in zone 2. And I like just to have the barn there, the feed station there, water troughs for the pastures. So they'll just come up, to the edge of zone 2 where the barn is. So everything's right there. You have to unload stuff, get stuff, water the animals. Also on the edge of zone 2, I like to have, that's where I'll raise a meat hog, maybe dairy goats if that's what you like, just kind of a little bit smaller livestock. You can keep on the edge of zone 2. Zone 3 is very important, and you have to put a lot of thought into zone 3. Zone 3 is pasture. So the great thing about that is it is going to be food. It's free food. That's how you have to look at zone 3, your pastures. It's free food. You're going to save money on your feed bill. You're also going to save money on the gas of having to mow it, not having to mow it. So that's a double plus there. And of course the animals like that. So if your property is big enough to where you can have pasture, here is the key. It takes a little time. You really got to pay attention, but you want your pasture big enough to where it can sustain the animals all year without killing the pasture. If you overload it, yes, they're going to look like there's room to hold them all. Like, oh, that's plenty of room. Yes, you're right. But what's going to happen is they're going to eat it down to dirt, and you're just totally defeating the purpose. That's why I tell people, don't have a dumpstead and just hurry up and get everything, because it actually ends up tearing up your homestead. And it's the opposite of sustainable. Then you have to go buy stuff, and you're not sustainable. So keep that in mind when you make your pastures, and pay attention. Like I say, start small. You can always add. So don't take in, 10 cows and 3 horses and put them on your pasture, because it won't be pasture for long. It'll be dirt. And you'll be having to spend money to buy hay. And what's the point? You spent all the money on the fencing, which is a hump to get over because it's pricey. You're going to spend all the money on that, and you're still going to be having to buy a lot of hay and feed and everything else. So whatever livestock you put out there, goats, chickens, cows, horses, whatever that may be, you have to pay close attention and adjust it so the animals can eat off it without damaging it. And so the main important thing is you want your homestead to be sustainable. That's what a true homestead is. It's sustainable. So keep that in mind when you're designing things, and trust me, take your time. You want it to be visually pleasing as well. I mean, who wants to look out their windows and just see a dirt pasture and, just everything a mess? It's not pleasant and enjoyable. You kind of want your homestead to be your little personal paradise that you can run home to after being out and about. That is a joy of joys. So I hope this helps everybody understand a little bit better about zones, and you can look into it deeper if you need to. And I can talk about it more in the future as I'm laying out my homestead. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Happy homesteading. Bye-bye.